everyone, I'm Jessica and allow me to introduce the rest of our RSM 100 team. This is my teammate Jerry.
I'm Selena.
I'm Harrison.
I'm Daniel.
And I'm Zichen.
Today we present to you a report exploring 6 contemporary real-life issues through the lenses of concepts learned in Professor Khan's class. Each issue was selected for its relevance to business ethics, business responsibility, international trade, innovations, and digital transformations, topics all central to this course. We analyze these issues to demonstrate how theoretical knowledge from lectures and textbooks can be applied to real-world complex issues.
So first off, let's start off with the sustainable practices and ESG.
Contributions to climate change have become a major contemporary issue for companies as businesses contribute extensively to global warming through carbon emissions, unsustainable practices, and wasteful supply chains.
There has been growing pressure from consumers, governments, and the general public to be more greener, but often it comes at a financial cost. As discussed in Professor Khan's lecture, all companies have a corporate social responsibility to protect the rights of its own investors. However, while going green might align with the general public, it conflicts with investor profit rights, as these practices often hurt short-term earnings.
Additionally, failing to act on climate change can severely damage a company's reputation. In a world where consumers are growing increasingly aware of greenwashing, not helping the environment poses a greater long-term risk than the cost of going green. Ultimately, responsible climate action is no longer optional. It is both a moral obligation and a smart business decision.
Next is the strategic rise of e-commerce.
E-commerce firms gain competitive advantage through cost leadership and differentiation. Amazon uses automation to reduce cost, while Netflix offers personalized recommendation driven by AI. Based on Porter's 5 forces introduced in class, the e-commerce industry faces strong rivalry, low entry barriers with disruptors like Shine, and a rising threat of substitute from social commerce platforms such as TikTok Shop.
Following the strategic management process, firms begin with external and internal analysis, identify opportunities and resources, then formulate strategies such as market expansion or vertical integration, and implement them through digital transformation and innovation.
In applying growth strategies, AliExpress expands globally, Amazon diversifies into cloud computing, and Nike adopts a direct-to-customer model to enhance control over customer experience.
Now let's head over to the AI and automation and how it's affecting the world.
Artificial intelligence is reshaping industries worldwide, whether from manufacturing and logistics to retail and customer services. AI-driven automation helps increase efficiency, cuts costs, and ultimately changes how business operates.
But there are also consequences. These highly efficient supercomputers replaces our traditional human workers, which ultimately makes millions of jobs at risk of disappearing. As shown in class, Amazon now has these robots handling their sorting and repetitive tasks once performed by humans. Although these new facilities are a great investment for increased productivity and reduced errors, but there will be fewer jobs for the average human at the assembly line. Another example is Amazon Go stores with their own Just Walk Out feature, allowing customers to not use the average checkout lines. You simply just walk in the store with your credit card, pick out what you want, and leave the store with the cost automatically deducted from your card.
Amazon has truly been one of the leading companies in incorporating AI. These cases further proves that, as suggested in class with the Amazon robot case, with technologies continuously advancing, the poor are getting poorer and the rich are getting richer, which creates an extreme dividing line in our world. Next, we're going into cybersecurity and ethical breaches.
Every day, we scroll through social media, search the web, and sign up for a website without thinking twice. But do we ever stop to consider how much of our personal data is actually being collected and how easily it can be exposed?
A data breach happens when protected information is accessed without permission, often due to hacking or weak security, leading to identity theft, financial loss, or legal trouble. One of the most shocking examples we learned about in Professor Khan's lecture was the 2015 Ashley Madison breach.
A hacker group called Impact Team exposed personal data of 32 million users, names, emails, and addresses, and even credit card transactions. The company behind Ashley Madison too paid the price of millions in lawsuits and its damaged reputation.
But here's the bigger issue. Ashley Madison isn't the only company failing to protect user data. Social media platforms and websites collect massive amounts of personal information, yet many have weak security systems. That means at any moment our data could be at risk.
Companies need to take the responsibility for cybersecurity, which further relates to Professor Khan's lecture, where CSR was defined as companies' ethical duty to protect stakeholders' interests. Cybersecurity is now a key part of CSR as breaches damage trust and reputation. Companies must protect data to uphold ethical standards, while users must stay aware of online risk to support safer digital environments.
Now let's talk about a current issue, the barriers between international trade.
As mentioned in Professor Khan's lecture, President Trump recently doubled the tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum products to 50%. This was in direct response to Canadian 25% tax on electricity export to the US. As a result, there is a growing trade war between the two economic close partners.
While protected tariffs aim to support domestic industries, higher costs for imported materials mean businesses pay more to produce goods, and those extra costs often get passed on to consumers. Investors are already reacting, with market decline reflecting economic uncertainty. Employees in manufacturing and energy sectors also face potential job losses. This mirrors historical chicken war mentioned during Professor Khan's lecture, where US tariffs on European trucks led to higher prices and inefficiencies, particularly affecting Volkswagen trucks.
Looking at the big picture, history shows that trade war rarely ends in long-term benefits. Instead, diplomatic negotiations, strategic trade policies are key to sustainable economic stability, rather than short-term political maneuvers. A collaborative approach can foster mutual growth.
And finally, the strategic risk management in high R&D, for example, SpaceX.
Slashing spaceflight costs by 9%. SpaceX did it with reusable rockets, but how do they balance billion-dollar risk and sustainable innovation? Let's break it down. Starship's fire failures? Well, not failures actually, it's data. Each explosion refines designs, cutting launch costs from 60 million to 6 million. Textbook disruptive innovation risk everything to dominate markets, but with that soaring, one misstep could sink them.
Next bet, methane engines. They cut emissions by 40% but rely on fossil fuels today. Green methane, unproven and costly. Yet SpaceX vertical integration, building everything in-house, saves time, 18 months versus 4 years for rivals. Efficiency drives their 60% market share. But can they afford the green transition?
Well, dominance creates barriers to entry. Competitors can't match SpaceX speed or prices, but with Starlink's profits are certain. Their 13 billion gamble hands in balance, innovate or implode. It's the ultimate business paradox. SpaceX proves high risk fuels disruption, but sustainability, that's the final frontier.